is an important location, both for security reasons and because of its natural resources. The US has had a military presence there since 1951, when it opened Thule Air Base, now known as Bidufik Space Base, its northernmost military base. In fact, there have been multiple attempts when the US either mentioned buying Greenland or made serious attempts to actually acquire it. First in 1867, then in 1910, then in 1946, when President Truman offered Denmark $100 million for Greenland. In 2019, when President Trump suggested buying it, and now with Trump's statement on buying Greenland in 2024. But every time, Denmark refused. As China's presence in Greenland grew, the US started worrying, though. In 2020, the US responded by offering $12.1 million in financial aid to Greenland to reduce China's influence. The European Union also plays a role, as Greenland has received funding from EU for many years. But after Greenland gained self-rule in 2009, it started having more freedom to make its own decisions, including dealing directly with other countries like China. So, from west to east, everyone wants Greenland. But why? Why is this icy, remote land so wanted? It all comes down to three things: location, defense, and trade. You see, Greenland sits between North America and Europe, right in the middle of the Arctic region. For the United States, Greenland is like a watchtower in the Arctic. That's why the US built Thule Air Base in 1951, which is the northernmost military base. This base helps the US monitor potential threats, track missiles, and keep an eye on Russia. For China, Greenland is a key location for the future of shipping routes. As Arctic ice melts due to climate change, new shorter trade routes are opening up. Right now, ships usually use the Panama Canal or the Suez Canal to trade between Europe and Asia. These routes are very long and cost a lot of money. But now, because of the ice in the Arctic melting, ships can take a shortcut through the Arctic. These routes, with the most popular being the Northern Sea Route, are much shorter, so it saves time and money for shipping goods. Some studies even project that the Arctic routes could be 30 to 50% shorter than the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal routes. But this could solve an even bigger problem for China, which is neither cost nor distance, but something called the Malacca Dilemma. China depends a lot on a small waterway called the Strait of Malacca. This is where most of China's oil, gas, and goods pass through. In fact, about 80% of China's oil imports pass through the Strait of Malacca, which makes it a critical checkpoint for China's energy security. So, if ships can go through the Arctic, China won't have to rely so much on the Strait of Malacca. Russian tankers can carry energy supplies from Siberia straight to China. This means they'll have more options for moving their goods and oil. It's safer for China because they won't have to worry as much about their trade routes being blocked. That's why China has come up with a project called the Polar Silk Road, which is part of the bigger plan known as the Belt and Road Initiative. The idea behind this is pretty simple. Use the Arctic's shorter shipping routes to connect Asia with Europe and North America. To make this happen, China is working closely with Russia and putting money into building things like ports, icebreaker ships, and research projects in the Arctic. All of this is to make sure that these new routes are dependable and efficient, and Greenland will be crucial for controlling and defending these trade routes. But this is only a fraction of the reason why China is hungry for Greenland. What just looks like an icy land at first glance is home to valuable treasures like oil, gas, and minerals. There are oil and gas deposits along Greenland's coast that haven't been tapped into yet. The US Geological Survey has estimated that there could be 7.3 billion barrels of oil and 52 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in the areas off Greenland's coasts. Studies have even shown that the Arctic region, where Greenland is located, holds about 25% of the world's undiscovered oil and gas resources. That's why Greenland is also trying to expand its territory to include more underwater areas, which could give it even more access to valuable resources. It's also rich in coal and other minerals that are essential for industries across the globe. Estimates suggest that Greenland's total natural resource wealth could be worth approximately 4.4 trillion USD. If oil and natural gas are excluded, the estimated value remains substantial at around $2.7 trillion. All these numbers are bigger than the economies of so many small countries just combined, and for an island with less than 60,000 people. Also, according to recent surveys, Greenland possesses significant deposits of 25 out of 34 minerals considered critical raw materials, including rare earth elements, graphite, platinum group metals, and niobium. And these are extremely important because rare earth elements are essential for modern technologies, defense systems, and clean energy solutions like electric vehicle batteries and wind turbines. This makes Greenland an attractive place for countries looking for natural resources, especially China. So, when Greenland got the right to develop its resources in 2009, China quickly got involved. Greenland's strategic location, its valuable minerals and hydrocarbons, made it an attractive place for investment. Since China's economy has been growing incredibly fast, it's always looking for new opportunities to secure resources. We have to keep in mind that China is now the world's largest consumer of energy and mineral resources. Plus, China is one of the few countries that can afford the huge investment needed to tap into Greenland's natural wealth. To put it in numbers, rare earth mining projects in Greenland are estimated to cost over $1.5 billion due to the harsh climate. And some companies even say that each Greenland mine would cost around $500 million to develop. And Greenland wasn't the only resource-rich country where China got involved. China has been focusing on securing natural resources from different parts all over the world to fuel its growing economy and to get more influence. One of the classic examples is in the case of Congo and how China conquered almost all of Congo's cobalt. A notable example is the Sycamines joint venture, where Chinese companies Sino Hydrocore and China Railway Group hold a 68% stake. It is controlled to an extent where China now controls around 80% of cobalt produced in Congo. And why does this matter? Well, because China is literally controlling the future of the world economy. Cobalt is a critical component in battery technology, and it's used in everything from electronic devices to EVs and renewable energy. Similarly is the case of Australia. China has big investments in iron ore, coal, and lithium, which are essential for making several things like steel and batteries. In Indonesia, China is heavily involved in nickel mining, again, a key material for electric vehicle batteries. In South America, China has invested in Chile's huge lithium reserves and also copper mines in Peru and Zambia. And, both materials are critical for electronics and renewable energy. In Venezuela, it has poured money into the oil sector to secure energy supplies. In 2023, China's overseas investments reached a massive $264.5 billion USD. These efforts are all part of China's strategy to make sure it has enough resources to power its industries and keep growing. There's also a fair bit of geopolitics at play here as well, as China wants to control the resources for the future of the world economy. And this is also the reason why China wants Greenland. Why? Because it holds iron, zinc, rare earth elements, and even uranium, the materials used in industries ranging from automotive to magnet production and even weapons manufacturing. Even though China has its own large reserves of rare earth elements, it still imports a significant amount from other countries. If developed, Greenland could become an important supplier for China. So, for a country like China, Greenland's resources are like hitting